What was it like for you to be directed by Stanley Kubrick back in your day, Malcolm?
Oh, God, that's such an open-ended question. Stanley, didn't do much directing on the set. It's really interesting. I'd be hard put, to think of a time. Well, the only time he actually gave me any direction was coming through a door. I came through the door, and he goes, can you be, can something be happening? I went, like what? Coming through the door? He goes, yeah. Why don't you think of Dave Prowse? Dave Prowse was Mr. Universe. Think of him making love to Milena Canonero, who was like a little tiny stick. And of course, when I opened the door, I had a eating grin on my face. That was the best piece of direction he gave me. It's actually the only piece of direction that I remember, because, Stanley was, he did all the work with you or with me. Before we started the film, there was like 6 to 8 months of preparation and finding locations and costuming and all the whole rigmarole that goes on. And I was out of this house, 2 or 3 times a week, going through stuff with him and having lunches and dinners and all the rest of it. And that's where he really, I think, kind of gauged, what I was like, whether he could trust me and all the rest of it. And the actual person that helped me the most in the role was actually not Stanley Kubrick, but another director who was a great friend and a man I love dearly called Lindsay Anderson, who I'd done my first movie, If, with. And If is the movie that Stanley saw and cast me. So I did no auditions or anything. My audition was If, this movie, which is a brilliant movie. And I asked Lindsay if he would mind reading the script. Of course, he groaned at having to read somebody else's script, Anyway, he did read it, and I went round to see him. And the first thing he said when I came into his flat was, "Thank God I don't have to make this film."
Right.
Which kind of made my heart sink. And I said, well, it's not your kind of material. You couldn't make this film. This is going to be, commercial film. Because I knew that would irritate him a bit, because, of course, he'd love to make a commercial movie, and he'd made enough of the art stuff. And anyway, I said, look, can you give me any help at all on this? Because he goes, yes, there is a close-up of you in If. When you open the gymnasium doors to look at the prefects to be beaten, you look at them and you smile. That's how you play this part.
Because you need to have some sort of psychosis that you're enjoying the violence, right? Like that's not it. What is it then?
No. It's just a question of style. It's just it's not him smiling at the fact that he's beating and raping and stuff, which is part of it, of course, but it's really a matter of attitude. You can have that smile on your face, like it's a real, like, screw you kind of smile. But not necessarily when he's, when there's violence involved. In fact, the first scene was me taking off my pajamas and rolling over, showing the doctor my bare ass, and she sticks a hypodermic needle in me and gives me a shot. That was my first film, the first shooting I did on the movie. And of course, Stanley, because it was my first shot, said, I'm not going to use a retractable needle. I want you to... I went, what? You want me to take a shot? I said, what's the shot going to be? He goes, well, it's distilled water. I said, well, does Madge know? That was the actress. He goes, yeah, she's practicing now. And I went, Stanley, I mean, she's got all this dialogue, and you're expecting her to give me a shot as a doctor. I mean, that's asking a lot, knowing I did not want to do it. You know?
Yes.
But it was my first shot, so what am I going to say? I'm not going to say no. And, of course, I look at her, and I see she's sweating on her top lip. That's not a good sign. That's not a good sign.
I'd agree.
I can see her with the needle, and I can see she's already shaking. And so she goes, now I'm giving, and she has quite a lot of dialogue, you know. And she's asking me how I feel. And I go, well, what about these videos? I mean, I started to feel sick. I mean, what? And she goes, this shot will help you. Now turn over. And I kind of do a little thing with the band of the pajama, you know, and turn over. And she literally threw that hypodermic needle into me like it was going into a rhino. It went up to the hilt because I think she'd been told, don't baby it. You got to get it in fast and clean. Well, she got it in, and it went up to the hilt, and I gave her, but I remembered Lindsay's advice. You smile. I had this eating grin on my face, and then she just wanted to get the damn thing over with and started to pump this thing so fast that this water had nowhere to go, and I leapt. I mean, 10 feet in the air. Michael Jordan would have been proud of me.
Yes, sir.
I mean, vertical takeoff. It hurt so much. It was like a huge cramping. It took like an hour to disperse this bubble in my
I don't mean to laugh, but I mean, this is the sort of thoughts that you would have sitting here as a fan of the film, that Kubrick wanted to make sure that everything was as real as possible. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.